Hi, welcome to my channel Stars of Terra. Every story you hear here is told in my own real voice, real emotion, real effort, no reuse content, original human storytelling. So let's begin. For centuries, humanity watched the stars in silence, listening to the whispers of the cosmos and pretending not to understand the meaning behind them. We built observatories in deserts and satellites beyond the moon, searching for signs that we were not alone, and when the signal finally came, it was not a greeting but a verdict. The Galactic Council had declared war on Earth. The message appeared simultaneously across every screen, in every language, decoded instantly as if it had always been waiting in our systems. It was cold, precise, and absolute. Humanity was classified as an uncontrolled expansionist species. Our technological growth was deemed unpredictable. Our military potential was labeled a future threat to galactic stability. In orbit, massive vessels shimmered into existence, bending light as though reality itself made way for them. Cities panicked, governments scrambled, and news anchors struggled to maintain composure as the sky filled with geometric shadows. The world expected fear, surrender, perhaps extinction, but deep beneath mountains, under oceans, and within installations no map acknowledged, something else stirred. Earth had known this day would come. For 70 years, classified programs had prepared for first contact not as diplomats but as soldiers. The public believed we were divided by borders and politics. They never saw the united project hidden behind every flag. As the alien fleet completed its formation above the atmosphere, the Council transmitted one final command. Submit peacefully and be placed under permanent observation, or face immediate eradication. In the war room beneath Geneva, no one argued, no one panicked. The Secretary General looked at the generals. And the generals looked at the scientists. Then someone finally said the words humanity had rehearsed for decades. Activate Aegis, and across the planet, ancient silos that were not so ancient began to open. The alien fleet expected primitive missiles and desperate retaliation. What they did not expect was for space itself to fracture around Earth. From hidden orbital platforms cloaked behind the moon, thousands of autonomous defense satellites powered to life. They were not visible to telescopes because they were not entirely there. They existed partially in folded dimensions humanity had discovered by accident and mastered in secret. Operation Aegis was never meant to deter the Council, it was meant to invite them. As the first alien strike beams descended toward major military installations, they bent harmlessly against an invisible planetary shield. A lattice of energy ignited around Earth like a second atmosphere made of light. Shock rippled through the enemy formation as their weapons failed to penetrate the barrier. Then Earth responded, not with nuclear fire, not with chemical devastation, but with precision. Kinetic lances accelerated from orbital rail arrays at near relativistic speed. Each projectile struck with the force of a small asteroid. One by one, the outer line of Council warships ruptured into expanding halos of plasma. Humanity did not cheer. We calculated. We adapted in real time as alien countermeasures evolved. The Council had fought 1,000 civilizations, but they had never faced a species that had spent decades reverse engineering fragments of alien probes that had quietly observed us in the 20th century. We had learned from their surveillance. We had grown in silence. We had waited, and now the sky burned with the light of a war Earth had secretly prepared to win. Within the command chambers of the Galactic Council flagship, confusion turned to alarm. Earth was not behaving like a pre-contact species. Our tactics were coordinated globally, our weapons terrifyingly efficient. They attempted electronic warfare. Our quantum networks rerouted instantly. They deployed biological threats. Our atmospheric filters neutralized them before release. Then humanity escalated. From beneath the Pacific Ocean, the largest structure ever constructed by human hands rose from concealment, a ring-shaped accelerator encircling. A mobile ocean platform began to glow with contained stellar energy. It had been disguised for decades as a climate research facility. The weapon was called Dawnfire. When it discharged, it did not explode. It erased. A focused stream of compressed fusion tore through the central command ship of the invading armada. The flagship vanished in a sphere of blinding radiance, its command hierarchy collapsing in a single heartbeat. Panic spread through the remaining vessels. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Council transmitted a retreat order, but Earth was not finished. We broadcast a reply across every known frequency, translated into the Council's own diplomatic codes. You declared war. We accepted. Now you will listen. Our fleets, long hidden beyond Mars and within asteroid shipyards, emerged in full formation. Sleek warships bearing human insignia accelerated toward the fleeing enemy. Not in pursuit of annihilation, but of leverage. Humanity had not waited for war out of fear. We had waited for recognition. The battle ended not with silence, but with a transmission. The surviving council representatives opened emergency negotiations. Under Earth's terms, above the planet they had judged primitive. Their remaining ships hovered defensively while human vessels held precise targeting locks. The balance of power had shifted in a single day. Earth demanded one thing: sovereign status among the stars, no oversight, no containment, no classification. As a threat, the Council hesitated. They had intended to extinguish a potential rival before it matured. Instead, they had accelerated our emergence. Around the globe, citizens watched as the announcement was made. The Galactic Council formally recognized Earth as an equal interstellar power. The war they had declared became the catalyst we had anticipated for generations. Humanity stepped onto the galactic stage not as a frightened newcomer, but as a prepared contender. That night, the alien fleet withdrew beyond visual range. The stars seemed closer somehow, less distant and less mysterious, in the quiet of the same underground war room where Aegis had been activated. Leaders gathered once more. The Secretary General spoke softly this time. We are no longer waiting. Above them, humanity's ships began long-range patrols beyond the solar system. The Council had declared war. Earth had finally received the invitation it had been preparing to answer, and the galaxy would never underestimate us again. The silence after victory was heavier than the battle itself. Orbit above Earth was no longer filled with hostile fire, but with drifting fragments of shattered alien warships glowing like dying stars. Human fleets maintained formation, weapons charged but steady, as if the slightest miscalculation could reignite the war. Across the globe, people stepped outside for the first time since the invasion began. They looked upward not in fear, but in disbelief. For the first time in human history, the night sky had become a battlefield, and we had survived it. Within the command centers of the remaining Galactic Council ships, emergency assemblies convened. Species that had ruled unchallenged for millennia now faced a civilization they had underestimated. Their archives contained countless records of conquered worlds. None described a planet that had prepared in secret for generations. Earth's diplomats boarded a neutral council vessel under heavy escort, not as desperate petitioners, but as representatives of a sovereign power. The message was clear before negotiations even began. Humanity would not be contained. Humanity would not be monitored. Humanity would not be classified as a risk to be managed. We presented evidence of our restraint. Despite possessing the capacity to annihilate the retreating fleet, we had chosen not to. We had demonstrated strength, not cruelty, power, not recklessness. The Council delegates studied recordings of Dawnfire's strike. They analyzed the adaptive shield matrix of Aegis. They recalculated projections that once predicted Earth's easy defeat. Every new model ended the same way. Humanity could no longer be erased without catastrophic losses to the Council itself. On Earth, classified programs began transitioning into public knowledge. The truth about decades of preparation was revealed in controlled disclosures. Citizens learned that their species had never been as defenseless as they believed behind every era of political tension and economic struggle. A unified planetary defense initiative had quietly advanced. Reactions were mixed. Some felt betrayed by the secrecy. Others felt pride unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. For the first time, national identity felt secondary to planetary identity. We had faced extinction together. We had defended our world together. As negotiations stretched across days measured in both Earth hours and alien cycles, a new reality solidified. The Galactic Council was no longer the unquestioned authority of the stars. There was now a second power rising from a blue world they had once dismissed as primitive. And the galaxy was beginning to understand that Earth had not merely survived a declaration of war. It had transformed because of it. The treaty was signed in orbit above Earth. A holographic accord encoded in quantum signatures bound both humanity and the Galactic Council to a new balance of power. The declaration that once announced our destruction was formally rescinded and replaced with recognition. Earth was granted full interstellar sovereignty, access to trade routes beyond our solar system, participation in council assemblies as an equal, but humanity demanded one additional clause: non-interference with developing civilizations. The Council hesitated at that condition. For ages they had shaped the evolution of emerging species through observation and subtle control. Now a former target of their authority was dictating ethical constraints, yet they agreed because they understood something fundamental had shifted. Earth did not fear them anymore. In the months that followed, reconstruction efforts began both on our planet and in orbit. Salvaged alien technology was studied openly under international oversight. Joint scientific initiatives formed between Humans and select council species willing to engage peacefully. Cultural exchanges followed military tension. Alien envoys walked beneath Earth's skies. Human representatives visited distant star systems once considered unreachable, but even as diplomacy flourished, humanity did not dismantle Aegis. The orbital shield remained active in standby mode. Dawnfire rested silent beneath the ocean, maintained and ready. Preparation had saved us once. We would not abandon it. In classrooms across the world, children learned about the day the Galactic Council declared war, not as a tale of terror, but as the moment humanity stepped beyond its cradle. Historians would later write that the Council's declaration was the greatest strategic miscalculation in recorded galactic history. By attempting to suppress a rising civilization, they had unified it. By threatening extinction, they had accelerated evolution. Earth had not sought conquest, we had sought acknowledgement. The stars no longer represented distant mysteries waiting to be discovered. They represented frontiers to be explored responsibly. Human fleets now traveled beyond Pluto on extended patrols. Not as aggressors, but as guardians of a newfound status. Signals once hidden were now broadcast openly. Humanity had arrived. The Galactic Council had declared war, believing it would end a potential threat. Instead, it had forged a rival, and somewhere in the vastness of space, other civilizations listening quietly to the echoes of that conflict began to whisper a new name into their transmissions, Earth, not as a target but as a power.